You are listening to Did You Hear?
Did you hear?
The Johnson County Library Podcast.
We are coming to you
from the Central Resource Library
in Overland Park, Kansas.
This is your Library Insider.
In this episode of Did You Hear, Dave, that's me, sits down with two mystery guests to talk about a mystery topic. Ooh, exciting. Melissa Horak-Hearn is in Parts Unknown on assignment. No, she's actually just helping out with the census. And now, your weekly word.
Rectify. Put something right. Correct.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Did You Hear? I'm Dave Carson, and today we're going to talk about relationships. Who better to bring in but relationship guru, Nick Ward-Bopp.
Wow. Hello.
Actually, that's not why you're here. You introduced me to one couple that had a really interesting story, and the MakerSpace was their date night. How did you come across Erika and Warren?
I feel like they've been coming into the MakerSpace shortly after we remodeled in 2016. I don't know when exactly they started coming, but it's had to be sometime in 2017 or 18. And yeah, they were, you could tell kind of a new couple, and this was kind of their date night, and coming in, and then eventually I saw Warren working on I think it was a jewelry box or a ring box, and he was telling me about the project. And we help people with all sorts of projects every day, so
sure.
Almost nothing surprises me. But the fact that they, come together and they're, I don't know, I've just kind of seen them grow as makers and come into the makerspace, and then him secretly working on this for her. I just thought that was so cool.
Well, it's such a fascinating story. Let's dive into it.
Hi, my name is Warren Sams.
Hi, Warren. And you have brought?
Erika Bakota, my wife.
Hi, Erika.
Hello.
Okay, and so somehow your relationship involves the makerspace. So let's start at the beginning. Who wants to go first?
I can start with that. So Warren and I moved to Lenexa about 2 years ago, in March, actually, of 2018. And we discovered the Johnson County Library System and discovered that the Central Resource branch here had a makerspace. And I've been into 3D printing for about 7 or 8 years now. Uh-huh. And so I've got a 3D printer at home that's very, very old and doesn't work particularly well. And so I was interested in coming up here to use the 3D printers. Yeah. And so we walked in initially to use the printers, and I was trying to describe the magic of being a maker to Warren at that time. And so I recommended that he kind of look at some of the, I'm going to call them toys at the makerspace, uh-huh. and kind of see what appeals to him. And he zeroed in on the laser cutter.
Oh, very good.
And so I'd say for the better part of the last 2 years, we've kind of had dueling hobbies going on here, where I come in and I use the 3D printers, and he uses the laser cutter, and it's kind of gotten in some aspects a little out of control from there.
How so? Now I'm curious.
Well, we started off doing little knickknacks for 3D printing for the house or for my daughter Zoe, uh-huh. and then from there with the laser cutting, just making some plywood-based things, and then getting a little crafty with some glasses, and
like etching on glasses.
Etching uh-huh. glasses, yep.
Sure.
And making some different things for the house. We just finished a 36-inch clock out of birch plywood.
Really?
And so we've pretty much just kind of taken the if we can think it, we can probably do it approach. And we've done a lot of cool things.
You said you moved to Lenexa, and so where were you coming from? Did I miss that?
We were coming from Houston, Texas.
So in Houston, Texas, did they have a makerspace in their library?
Not that we ever saw.
score one for the Johnson County
Yeah,
Library.
I don't think they do. So, or they may, just not at
Yeah.
the branches we visited.
But you discovered that our Makerspace had, as you said, toys or tools. We could call them tools.
Both.
Yeah.
But so that really attracted you, and that got you in the door of the Johnson County Library, huh?
Absolutely.
Wow. And you said that you had been doing 3D printing on your own. Same kind of printers as what we have, or smaller, or...
No, so I've actually got a model from a company that is not in business anymore. They were one of the first 3D printing, at least for the general consumer space, companies on the scene. So it's a Solidoodle, and so there's not even parts available for it anymore, and it's kind of aging, and so the printers here, and there's been some model changeovers even here since we've been coming here,
Sure.
but they're generally a lot better than what we can do at home.
Yeah. Huh. Well, so I need to ask you this. So was this a date kind of thing? Like, do you say, hey, we've got a night together, let's go do some maker stuff?
I think we definitely have capitalized on that sometimes, where, if we have a child-free evening, we can just groove out and try some new things in the makerspace and just really get in the zone.
That's great. And you mentioned you have a daughter. Do you ever involve her as well? Does she come up to the makerspace?
Oh, we do. We
Yeah.
do. So she's kind of grown up in the makerspace for the last couple of years. So
Wow. What does she like to do?
She likes the 3D printing,
Okay.
although it definitely makes a difference what color filament is on the printers. So if there's a pink or a purple, she's into printing all kinds of things.
Neat.
And so she'll pick out things on Thingiverse, where you can get the 3D printing files and see what the models look like. So she and I will scroll through Thingiverse together and pick out something where she says, well, I'd like to print that. She's also really good at picking out things that have been 3D printed or laser cut. So without having done it herself, she can kind of spot an object a mile away and say, well, that's from the laser cutter, or that's from the printer.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Well, let me ask you this. What types of projects? You mentioned a birch wood clock that you just worked on?
Yes.
And so what other things have you worked on? And I'm going to want photos at some point.
Sure. I think really the biggest, well, I can think of two big type of things that we've done. Number one, we actually have an Etsy shop where we make and sell custom etched wine glasses.
Yeah.
I think possibly the coolest thing overall that we've done, though, is that we had a lot of elements, maker type elements in our wedding.
Yeah.
So, going all the way from signage up to a full out 3D printed bouquet that Zoe carried in the wedding.
So you had a bouquet of flowers that you printed in the makerspace?
That's right. So most of them
Wow.
were printed in the makerspace here, but that particular bouquet turned into a very cool collaborative project with the San Diego library system.
Oh, really?
And the makerspace at one of their library branches there. So to make this bouquet took dozens and dozens and dozens of flowers.
Okay.
And
Wait,
it was
so each flower individually printed?
each flower was individually printed, and so they were tulips, and there's a little hole in the center of the flower through which you can stick a floral pin. And
Okay.
so we had a styrofoam ball, and we arranged all these dozens and dozens of flowers on the ball and stuck a floral pin through each. And so the tulip design itself was kind of intricate, and so I couldn't just print 10 at a time. It was more like 2 or 3 at a time. And during the time that I was making this bouquet, I had an assignment for work in San Diego for 3 weeks. And so being out there for 3 weeks, I kind of still wanted to make some progress. So I started looking into their library system and whether they had a makerspace. And it turns out that they did. And it was actually within walking distance of where I was staying downtown.
cool.
And so I went down to their makerspace a handful of times and I explained the project. And we pulled up the file together, and I was able to print, maybe 10% of it at the makerspace. at the San Diego Public Library. And so they were in on the project, and I shared the final photos of the bouquet with them.
Neat.
And so it was kind of just that maker essence of people collaborating. And
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, just coming together and helping strangers make something cool.
Do you still have this bouquet?
I do.
Oh, that's excellent. And you said you have photos, so I'm sure the audience is definitely going to want to see those, because, I mean, I'm dying. I'm curious to see what this looks like. It's such a fascinating project, and such a personal project too. Would you say that's the most personal and most meaningful project you've engaged in?
I think hands down, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Were you dating before this and had the Makerspace as part of your life, or did you do this after you?
So we moved up to Lenexa a couple of years ago together. While we were dating, and got engaged in January of 2019.
Yep.
And so yeah, we got engaged and got married since we have been Johnson County residents.
Wow.
So it has been a good dating avenue.
Well, and
but also, planning the wedding and making things for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think people always think about that, but you can really personalize a wedding with handmade things, and we've got a makerspace for that.
Definitely.
But, more than that, I don't think people really, it's so easy to just think of the traditional stuff for a date, dinner and a movie. But, if you're more creative and you're looking for things out there to do, and you're a creative person and you enjoy making something with your hands or learning something new, it seems like that's such a cool date idea,
Yeah, definitely. And Erika and I are both scientists, so we have the creative aspect, but being scientists at heart, we kind of take this to the next level, and we actually find methods for how to improve these things, and discussions back and forth of why is this doing this better than that, and really just kind of, like you said before, grooving out on it.
Yeah, I get that. In a lot of the work that I do, it's all about finding more efficient ways of doing things, but that allows me more time for the more creative parts, and I think that's the interesting thing about making art, and really that's what you're doing. It's a practice skill, and so there's that skill aspect of it, but you get to, exercise your creativity. And so the bouquet, that sounds just fascinating. So what else? What else have you made in our makerspace here? And I've heard that it's not just the laser etch. It's not just the laser etching machine. Why am I forgetting?
Laser cutter?
The laser cutter. It's not just the laser cutter. It's not just the 3D printer. I heard that you started to do some vinyl cutting. What's that all about?
I have started to do some vinyl cutting. So actually, if we go back to the wedding for a second,
sure.
That involved a number of different instruments or toys in the makerspace. So we had the bouquet. We did do an acrylic sign on the laser cutter, and we engraved that. We did laser cutting on invitation jackets when we mailed out the invitations. And then that was probably the first foray into the vinyl cutter, where we did a giant turquoise "Just Married" decal.
Neat.
In like some very scripty font to go on the back of the car for after the ceremony.
Sure.
And so, that was the first foray into the vinyl, I believe. With a couple other forays since then. We did a decal for our daughter's water bottle, and just lately we've started experimenting with heat transfer vinyl.
Now, what is that?
So that's a type of vinyl that basically can get heat pressed onto something like a T-shirt.
Okay,
or a fabric. And from what I understand, you're not limited to fabric. You can do other materials as well. But essentially, it's a glorified iron-on material.
Okay.
So if you're interested in making T-shirts, you can do it at a fraction of the price.
Wow.
And the cool thing about the software is that the same type of image, like a vector graphic, can be used either on the laser cutter or on the vinyl cutter. So there's a lot of, once you learn one technique, you know a lot about the other technique. So the transition is pretty good.
Yeah, and if you had something like a wedding and you wanted to repeat some imagery through different things that you're producing, you could.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. So have we covered the wedding completely? Anything else you wanted to mention about things that you produced there?
I think that was all in the wedding.
We also did the glasses.
Oh, we did.
And so did you send your guests home with these etched glasses?
We
We
did.
did.
Oh, that's
we did.
so
Do you want
cool.
to talk about the glasses?
Sure. Yeah, so we got married on the dam at Lake Lenexa. And so if you've ever seen this in person or an aerial photo, that's a very iconic type arch essentially and certain circular walkway stone type things. Anyway, it's a really cool overview look. So we took that image, traced it into a vector, worked with it, and then made a design based off of that and put it on wine glasses. So
That is so cool. Yeah, we're going to have a picture of that too.
so we
if you have any
we
left.
celebrated our damn wedding.
I bet you've gotten a lot of mileage out of that one.
We have.
Yeah, we have.
Well, I think we did it.
Yeah. So then what you said you're working on the vinyl projects. What are you working on right now?
So right now, primarily just working on glassware. So we've done a lot of things on wine glasses. I'm working on some pint glasses and really doing a kind of, as I talked about, improving the method to be able to get 360 degrees around without a hard break. So really trying to get things optimized out and just really get some really cool things. We made some Kansas City based logos and just products recently. So
Yeah, I visited your Etsy store. There's a lot that's kind of science themed. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. So, what about the future? How brave are you? Do you think you're gonna venture out and try some of the other things that are in the makerspace? Are we gonna see a movie? Are you gonna make a movie, or are you gonna
actually,
record some tracks in the audio studio?
So we've done that already with with the green screen. We have not done the sound booth yet.
Okay.
But our daughter Zoe is 5, and so she's really into all the things that 5-year-olds are into, like the Lego movie and Frozen and things like that. And so what we did over Christmas break is she wore her Elsa Frozen dress and we went into the green screen room and she danced to Let It Go.
Okay.
And so then we were able to overlay her dance on an ice castle background. So she essentially had her own Let It Go music video.
Oh, that's neat.
And she got a real kick out of that. And we repeated that with the Lego movie and one other song. So, of course, seeing herself in a movie was a cool experience for her. So
yeah. That is very cool. I think the thing that I find so interesting is a lot of times when you think of the makerspace, you think of just these individual projects, but that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of relationships. You've got parents bringing in kids. You've got, people that are there as couples or groups of friends that come in, and what a great thing to base a relationship around. Do you feel like this has been something that's enhanced your relationship?
I think definitely. I mean, like I said, we're both scientists by trade, but this has really been a very good outlet for us to have some creativity, have some collaboration. So things that we do for our Etsy shop, we kind of divide labor, where Erika works a lot on the graphic design of it. I'll tweak it a little bit and get it just right for the laser cutter and optimize things there. And it's been really great to just team up on things.
Yeah, that is so cool.
And I would say that you've probably even discovered that you're a creative person.
Yeah.
Oh,
more so than I thought.
So I would say the coolest part, at least for me, and what I'm hoping we impart to Zoe as well, is that it's really satisfying if you can think of something and that item doesn't exist, even in the world of Amazon.com, where you can have tens of thousands of things that are kind of like what you're envisioning.
Right.
If the exact thing you're envisioning doesn't exist, you can make it exist.
Right.
And so that's a really cool aspect of self-actualization that I feel is really empowering, especially if you're trying a new technique or something like that.
Yeah. And you're never too old to learn. And so, you go into the MakerSpace, there's a lot of equipment that I've never used before. And I've tried to grow and tried to, experiment a little bit. And like you, I've done the glass etching. I made some vanilla one year for different family members, and then I designed my own logo and etched it on the bottles. And I mean, those kind of gifts they're priceless.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And one year, my wife's a big Tom Waits fan. I don't know if you know him. It's a music artist, but I etched his face on the end of a piece of wood, and she really liked that, I think. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's kind of neat, the gifts you can create for one another. But anyway, it has been a pleasure talking to you both, and I want to finish with this. Were you ever nervous about going into the MakerSpace? Were the people that are there, that it's part of their job to help folks in the MakerSpace, our MakerSpace facilitators, do they make the process easier for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, my only concern was a fear that I'd walk over the laser cutter for the first time and not know what to do, but that fear was allayed very, very quickly and never looked back.
Steep learning curve for these tools or not?
I think it depends on what you want to do. If you're just wanting to come try something out, the first thing I would say is absolutely talk to the MakerSpace facilitators,
Yes,
because they are all fantastic and they all know exactly what they're doing, and they're all great experts to consult about any of the machines. And it's pretty amazing to me, actually, how they can be experts on all of those things at once.
Right.
But really, any technique that we've sought help from them for, we've been able to get some incredible pointers from any one of them. So I just want to give a big shout out to them, because they're all awesome.
Yes, definitely.
But if you're just looking to try something out, you just want to 3D print, a little knickknack as a gift, or, just some basic plywood laser cutting, I think it's really easy to get in on the ground floor.
So
but
your
the
advice
projects
might be to start small then.
Yeah, but the projects can get infinitely complicated, and I would say we find ourselves getting carried away about what we would like to make versus what we can realistically make, and we routinely think up projects that well exceed the number of man hours that we can devote to it, even if we have the capability on the instruments that are there.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you all, and congratulations for getting Zoe into the MakerSpace, and sounds like she's having fun and learning, and sounds like you all are having fun and learning as well.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll keep coming back.
Thank you
We
very
will.
much.
Thanks. Did we miss a question you wish we would have asked? Do you have thoughts or stories about today's topic? Share them with us on Facebook, facebook.com/Joko Library.
And now, our writer's quote of the day.
Hi, my name is Melody Cosme. I'm an information specialist at Shawnee Cedar Row Libraries, and my quote is from the Stephen King book, On Writing, a Memoir of the Craft. If you want to be a writer, you must do two things above all others: read a lot and write a lot. Good books don't give up all their secrets at once. Thank you.
We leave you with sounds from one of our locations. It's your audio minute we call Library Zen.
For more episodes of Did You Hear, go to the Johnson County Library website, jocolibrary.org/didyouhear.